Imagine owning the biggest movie company on Earth. Millions of customers, thousands of stores, billions in revenue. Your brand is so powerful that almost every American family knows your name. Now imagine being offered the chance to buy a tiny startup for just $50 million. A startup with almost no customers, no profits, and an idea that sounds completely ridiculous. You reject the offer. A few years later, that startup becomes worth hundreds of billions, and your company disappears. That is exactly what happened to Blockbuster, a company that once dominated entertainment in America, a company that had every advantage, a company that should have won, but instead became one of the greatest business failures in history. And the most shocking part? Blockbuster didn't lose because of Netflix. It lost because it stopped understanding its customers. This is the story of how Blockbuster went from king of entertainment to a cautionary tale for every business in the world. Before Netflix, before streaming, before smartphones, there was Blockbuster. For younger viewers, it's hard to understand how massive this company was. In the 1990s, renting movies wasn't just entertainment. It was a weekly ritual. Every Friday night, families across America would drive to their local Blockbuster. Parents searched for movies. Kids rushed toward video game shelves. Teenagers looked for the newest releases. The stores were everywhere. Bright blue signs, huge inventories, thousands of locations. Blockbuster wasn't just renting movies. It owned movie night. By the year 2000, Blockbuster operated more than 9,000 stores worldwide. It generated billions in annual revenue, and it had become one of the most recognizable brands in America. The company looked unstoppable. But hidden behind the success was a dangerous problem, a problem that would eventually destroy everything. Most customers hated Blockbuster, not because of the movies, because of the late fees. If you forgot to return a movie on time, you paid extra, sometimes a lot extra. Customers complained constantly, but Blockbuster didn't care. Why? Because late fees were making the company rich. At one point, late fees generated hundreds of millions of dollars every year. Think about that. A significant portion of Blockbuster's profits came from customers making mistakes. The company became addicted to this revenue, and that's where the danger began. Because while Blockbuster focused on late fees, someone else was focused on solving the problem. In 1997, a small company was founded in California. Its name was Netflix. At the time, almost nobody took it seriously. The idea seemed strange. Instead of visiting a store, customers could order DVDs online. The DVDs would arrive by mail. When finished, customers mailed them back. No store visits, no waiting in line, and most importantly, no late fees. Customers loved it. Blockbuster laughed. Executives believed customers would always want physical stores. After all, Blockbuster had thousands of locations. Netflix had almost nothing. From the outside, the winner seemed obvious. But technology doesn't care about size. It cares about convenience. And Netflix was becoming more convenient every day. Then came one of the most famous meetings in business history. In the year 2000, Netflix was struggling. The company wasn't profitable. Growth was difficult. Its founders approached Blockbuster with an offer. Netflix wanted to sell itself. Price? Just $50 million. Today that sounds unbelievable, but at the time, Netflix looked like a risky experiment. Blockbuster executives listened, then rejected the deal. Some reports suggest they didn't even take Netflix seriously. Why would they? Blockbuster was generating billions. Netflix was a tiny startup. But that decision would eventually cost Blockbuster far more than $50 million. It would cost them everything. While Blockbuster focused on protecting its existing business, technology kept moving forward. Internet speeds improved. Online shopping exploded. Consumers became comfortable ordering products from home. Netflix kept growing. More subscribers, better technology, more convenience. Meanwhile, Blockbuster faced a problem. Its massive store network had become a liability. Stores were expensive, employees were expensive, rent was expensive. Everything that once made Blockbuster powerful was becoming a burden. The company was carrying the weight of the past. Netflix was building the future. And most people still couldn't see what was coming. Then Netflix made its boldest move: streaming. At first, the idea seemed ridiculous. Why would people watch movies online? Internet connections were slow. The technology wasn't perfect. Many experts doubted the future of streaming. But Netflix understood something important. Technology always improves. Consumer habits eventually change, and convenience usually wins. Year after year, streaming became better. Customers no longer needed DVDs. No mail, no stores, no waiting. Movies appeared instantly, with one click. The game had changed forever, and Blockbuster was completely unprepared. Finally, Blockbuster realized the threat. The company launched its own online services. It removed late fees. It attempted to compete with Netflix. But by then, it was too late. The company was reacting instead of leading. Netflix had momentum. Netflix had technology. Netflix had customer loyalty. And most importantly, Netflix understood where the future was heading. Blockbuster spent years defending yesterday's business. Netflix spent those same years building tomorrow's business. The outcome was becoming inevitable. In 2010, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. Thousands of stores closed. Employees lost jobs. One of America's most iconic brands disappeared. A company that once dominated entertainment had fallen. Not because it lacked money, not because it lacked customers, not because it lacked resources, but because it failed to adapt. The king of movie rentals had become a victim of innovation. The story of Blockbuster isn't really about movies. It's about change. It's about leadership. And it's about what happens when successful companies become too comfortable. Blockbuster saw the future. It simply chose not to believe it. Netflix saw the future and built it. Because in business, the greatest threat isn't competition. It's assuming the world will never change. And for Blockbuster, that assumption cost everything. Subscribe to Empire Decoded for more stories about the biggest companies, biggest mistakes, and biggest business empires in history.